Hey there, it's Leona. Welcome to Zen Mindfulness Shodo. Today, we're gonna practice Shodo meditation while focusing on the Hiragana character for no. So, let's begin our beautiful journey together. When you write a character, imagine a square about the size of the character that you are gonna write like this. First, I'm gonna write it. Then I'm gonna explain the points and tips for writing the character beautifully in detail. Let me explain. First, regarding the starting point, it starts from a point slightly lower than the middle of the upper half of the middle vertical line. It heads towards a point slightly to the right of the center point of the bottom left square, or a point just a tiny bit lower than that. To put it extremely, this is a line that curves to the right like this, and moves downward to the left. It stops here for a second, and moves upward to the left. And then curves upwards to the right. As if drawing a circle. At this time, you can either connect it to this starting point or leave a very tiny space like this. Either is fine. But it passes through around this area. Then it descends to the lower right, curving down with a roundness that appears symmetrical left and right, passing through a position that leaves about the same amount of space to the left of the leftmost point of this square box. And to the right of the rightmost point. Finally, it curves down to the same height as this bottom left turning point. Gradually thinning as it scoops to the lower left. The first point to note is this angle. If this angle, for example, goes straight down vertically like this, the entire character appears like some kind of mark or symbol, not very hiragana-like. On the other hand, if this initial angle, which is about 60 degrees, is too flat at around 45 degrees, it creates an imbalance with the right side, making this part on the right side much wider, resulting in a visually unbalanced left-right appearance. So I think you should be careful about this angle first. Then, this turning point that rises to the upper left, for example. If it turns sharply like this, in contrast to the rounded curve here. If it turns too sharply, it becomes pointed and doesn't express the curved beauty characteristic of hiragana well. However, if it curves too roundly, it looks like a rounded character style called marumoji in Japanese. So aim for about this middle point, where it's not too sharp and not too round. The turning point should be clearly visible at this lower bottom position, but it shouldn't look too pointy, in order to make the turning point not too pointy. Try shifting the pen to the left, just a tiny bit, about the width of the pen, before going up. Then it becomes a bit thicker here, and it can curve with a moderate roundness, without being too pointy and sharp, or too round, expressing curved beauty of hiragana well. Now, as it goes up here, if it passes through a point lower than this starting point, the entire character doesn't look very nice. On the other hand, if you draw it at a position too high above the starting point, leaving too much space here, the whole character looks a bit strange and not well balanced. So you can connect it, or if you leave a space, just leaving a tiny space rather than a wide one looks more balanced and beautiful in my opinion. Also, to balance the left and right widths, practice drawing it in a square like this, aiming to have about the same space left on the left and right sides, as you descend to the final bottom right. For example, if you write this character like this one, it's too narrow here, right? It's coming down around here, or it's going too far to here. It's a line like that. By writing in a square box like this, you can clearly see when the balance is off. So I recommend paying attention to the spaces left in the square box when practicing. Lastly, about this final scooping part, if the position is, let's write it above. If it goes down too far below the turning point like this, or if it's higher than the turning point, the entire character doesn't look very well balanced. So try to practice ending this scooping part at about the same height as this turning point. Also, some people might write this character with the same thickness, all the way from the starting point to the end, and stop at the end without scooping like this. But that makes this character look a bit like printed text. The thinness of the line is due to moving the pen faster at this thinning part. So if you can't feel the speed of the line, that is, if you can't express the movement of the pen, the line and the entire character lose their energy. If you write at a constant speed, it becomes a line of the same thickness throughout like this. So by paying attention to this lower part, slowing down a bit here makes this area a bit thicker, and then sweeping quickly at the end results in a thin line like this. By paying attention to this point and adding contrast between thick and thin parts, you can create a sense of movement in the line, making the whole character appear more beautiful and three-dimensional. Why don't you try practicing with these tips and points in mind? The key points for writing hiragana characters, as explained in the video, are concisely summarized in this book in a similar manner. The book allows you 3 pages to practice each character. It can be purchased on Amazon. See the link in the description. I'm gonna practice 1 page of this workbook this time, but you're welcome to practice as much as you want. If you're practicing with a pen, I recommend that you place a few pieces of paper under the page that you're writing on, so that the ink doesn't bleed onto the page under it. Alright, let's get started.